In our gospel for today, Jesus says, "Without me you can do nothing, but whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit." There are two occasions that we celebrate today that illustrate this for us. Today is the 103rd anniversary of the first apparition of Our Lady of Fatima, and today itself is Our Lady of Fatima's feast day. At Fatima, Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, who were ages 10, 8, and 7 respectively at the time. Mary spoke to them and encouraged them, among other things, to make communion in reparation for sinners, to pray the rosary, and especially to have devotion to Mary's Immaculate Heart. Now, Francisco and Jacinta died 2 years later after these apparitions, after catching influenza. Lucia instead lived on until 2005 as a Carmelite nun. The other occasion that we celebrate today is one that's special for our parish. You might have noticed that I'm not on the current campus of St. Margaret Mary. Behind me is an apartment building at 608 North 50th Street that was the first major site for our church and school from 1922 until 1942. Before that, from the time the parish was founded until in 1919, until this building was built, the parish gathered for Mass and student instruction at the second floor of Dundee Hall above Ernest Buffett's grocery store, and that building would be at the current site of E-Creamery just a little bit north of here. Now, you may or may not be able to make it out in the video, but over the door of this apartment building it still says St. Margaret Mary. Now, today is a special day for our parish because of our parish patroness. When our parish was founded in 1919, our parish was just called the New Parish of Dundee. Until exactly 100 years ago today, on May 13th, 1920. On that day, Margaret Mary Alacoque, a simple nun of the Visitation Order who received revelations of Jesus' Sacred Heart, was declared a saint by Pope Benedict XV. And on that exact same day, May 13th, 1920, Bishop Jeremiah Harty, Bishop of the Diocese of Omaha, chose St. Margaret Mary as the patroness of the new parish in Dundee. And so our parish might have been one of the first parishes in the world to be named after St. Margaret Mary and have her as its patroness. So these two examples, Our Lady of Fatima and St. Margaret Mary, in them we see just how much those who remain in Jesus will bear much fruit. It was clearly not these saints themselves that were the cause of their fruitfulness, but instead Jesus himself. Both the saintly children of Fatima and St. Margaret Mary were fairly simple people that lived fairly simple lives. They weren't called to be professors or successful business people or even preachers or missionaries. But in their relatively ordinary lives, they received Jesus' messages and shared those with those around them. And because they remained in Jesus, they bore great fruit. In the case of St. Margaret Mary, fruit that led our Nebraskan parish to be named after this French nun. Fruit that led to increased devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus throughout the world. In the case of Fatima, fruit that led to increased devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, to communion of reparation, and to the Rosary. In both cases, fruit that has had an incredible influence throughout the whole church. And so, let us remain in Jesus. Let us keep close to him in prayer and obedience to his commands, so that he can work in us, and we can also bear great fruit as he brings that fruit about and makes us bear great fruit.